Greetings. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks, Sr., your host, and this is Community Forum. Today we have an outstanding guest and an outstanding program. We have Mr. Jerome Lang. He's a retired in physical fitness, and he is a person that you should know. Good evening, Mr. Lang.
Well, good evening, Dr. Brooks. How are you?
We're very happy that you've taken time from your busy schedule to be with us. You are an exemplary person that I've met, been knowing for quite a few years, and Community Forum felt that you are a person that Lake County should know. And I want you to tell our listening audience, and I'll be learning right along with them, a little bit about your personal and professional background. Who is Jerome Lang?
Well, you know, people ask me that all the time, and they want to know what my background is and what my education level is and stuff like that. And, you know, I'm a person that really cares about people. I'm involved with another group of people that is concerned about the fact that we have a famine for nutrition going on here in the United States, and I like to talk about that. I don't like to refer to myself as an expert on the issues. One of the reasons is because people say an X is a has-been, a spurt is a drip under pressure, and I don't think I'm either one of those. And, you know, you and I talked before, and we always talk about who do you listen to, and, you know, you just listen to whoever you think is telling the truth, and then you have to listen to yourself. It doesn't take a college degree to know about your personal health and fitness. You know, even as President of the United States, we had 7 presidents that did not have college degrees. I don't know if you thought about that, but and Abraham Lincoln was one of them. So I don't have a degree in the subjects that I talk about. But what I tell people is, you know, if you think what I'm saying is true, then you just deal with it.
Well, how important is health awareness?
Well, the thing is that people just aren't aware. It is extremely important. And when you talk about fitness, most people think I'm just talking about exercise. But you got to have the exercise. You must have some mental conditioning also. And nutrition is huge. In the United States, we talk about the obesity, especially obesity among children and stuff like that, and people are concerned about the fact that the kids get on computers and they don't go outside and play. That is a huge part of it. But I think just as big a part of it is the lack of nutrition that they have in their diets. Between the lack of nutrition and the consumption of sugar. You know, we've talked about disparity amongst minorities as far as health, as far as heart disease and high cholesterol and your blood sugar, you know, diabetes and things like that. There is a simple solution to a lot of it. I mean, some people are just going to have to take certain medications, but unfortunately, the majority of the Americans are sugar addicts, and they don't think about it. They don't realize it. We feed our children sugar. You know, when we send them off to school in the morning, they're eating products that are high in sugar. Sugar, and I'm talking about processed sugar, okay? There is no nutrition in processed sugar, zero. Only thing it does is give you energy, and it is extremely addictive. When I say most people are sugar addicts, well, it's true. It's as addictive as cigarettes or cocaine, okay? And it's as deadly because of all the things that it causes. And people that don't realize they're sugar addicts, they need to stop and just try not to eat sugar for 3-4 days in a row. Or try not to drink soda pops or things that have a lot of, you know, high fructose and stuff like that in them. If they try to stop that, then they will find out that they can't, some of them, or they'll find out that they are addicted and they need to get off of it. You know, if we send our kids to school and they're all high on sugar, okay, and they get in the classroom and they suddenly come down, You know, their mind is really not in a mode to accept anything that the teachers are trying to teach them. Okay? We have to make a change in the lifestyle as far as other foods. We've heard a lot about GMOs in the news. Okay, we heard about Congress, and they were trying to pass laws, or some people wanted them to pass laws to put labels on food that has GMOs in it. We need to understand what these things do to our body, because of the fact that our health as Americans seems to be going down. You know, in the past 10 years, the number of people that are taking properly prescribed drugs for all these different things has doubled. The rate of diabetes and heart attacks and strokes is increasing. And at the same time, we're eating foods that are detrimental to our health. We're eating foods that do not have nutritional value. And a lot of times people buy these foods because they're less expensive. The foods with the least amount of nutrition in them are going to be the cheapest foods out there. You know, we can go to the grocery store and we can find organic foods or 100% natural, and some people will look at them and say, oh, that costs too much. However, that has the nutrition that your body needs to function. The other foods don't. It's already known that the soils do not contain the nutrients that they need, that the body needs. When it comes to the GMO foods, a lot of those are grown with certain pesticides and herbicides, and those things are toxic to your system. And it's a vicious cycle, because if you're not getting the nutrition that you need, the body keeps asking you for more nutrition, and we're thinking it's just wanting more food, so we keep pumping stuff in, and all we're doing is getting fat off this stuff that doesn't have any nutritional value. And then when we get fat and we're having high cholesterol and high blood pressure, and we go to the doctor, and the doctor says, well, I'm going to give you this medication. You know, if you're a diabetic, he's going to put you on some pills to help lower your blood sugar levels. Well, when that brings it down, you get hungry sometimes. I see a lot of diabetics that are way overweight, and they just pile their plates up, but they always insist that they have their blood sugar under control. Well, taking the pills doesn't necessarily mean it's under control in my book, because the pills are hazardous to your health. You know, doctors prescribe pills in a heartbeat for people with all these different ailments. And there are more people killed every year from properly prescribed drugs than were killed in the Vietnam War.
From properly prescribed drugs?
Prescribed drugs. Okay, and you know, I always tell people, Google properly prescribed drugs, or drugs and prescription drugs and side effects, okay? And you will see how dangerous they are. You know, you're better off, instead of just taking the pill and saying you got your blood sugar under control or your cholesterol under control, then why don't you do some exercise and look into your diet? Quite often people go to the doctor and they have a problem, unless it's a stomach ache or something like that, they don't ask you about your diet. They ask you how many sodas you drink in a day, okay? Because doctors don't get paid if you're not sick, okay? They treat your symptoms. Well, they do. They treat your symptoms, okay? So what you want to do is you want to treat the cause. What's causing you to have all these problems? You
mentioned sodas. Is a well-rounded diet soda, is that still sugar?
You know, when it comes to soda, you just throw them all out.
Soda period.
Soda period. You know, the diet sodas, they have so many different things in them, and this is the problem. It's all these things that are put into these drinks to make them taste good.
Okay.
And people love them, especially they love things with sugar in them, because it makes you feel good. Okay. But so does cocaine.
Okay.
Really, and they're both addictive, right?
Okay.
And they're both detrimental to your health. So, you know, you would realize that, okay, you shouldn't take the cocaine, and you shouldn't give it to your children, but we're giving sugar to our children, and we're not even thinking about or realizing the damage that it's doing to them, okay? And we need to research that a little bit. And again, I'm going to say to you, go online and just Google the side effects of sugar. Once you start reading about how bad this stuff is, then maybe you'll stop. And maybe you'll stop feeding it to your children, because you're feeding them poison. That's what it amounts to. And the fast foods that don't have any nutrition in it, it's the same situation. All it's doing is making them fat, because they keep having to eat more of it, more of it, more of it, trying to get the nutrients that the body needs. Okay, we're letting ourselves be controlled by a small minority of people. You know, the drug companies in particular. They need to sell their products, and so they need you to be sick. They need you to eat sugar, and they need you to eat these genetically modified organisms that have all these pesticides and herbicides and things like that in them. Okay, it's not something. These are not things that will hurt you immediately or make you fall down on the floor and die after you eat them, but over the long haul, you keep a little bit at a time. A little bit every single day. It's like eating a little bit of rat poison every single day, and it gets in your system, and eventually it's going to kill you. Okay? So what do we need to do? We need to stop buying the foods with the GMOs. And, you know, I can't tell people just stop automatically right now, number one, but be aware and start cutting back, and eventually maybe you can eliminate all of them out of your diet, and especially out of your children's diet. And you and I talked about this once before. When we were kids and we were growing up, you were raised on a farm. I was raised out in North Chicago, Waukegan, where everybody had gardens. And all the people that I know, our parents had gardens. They canned and they made the jellies and the jams and all this kind of stuff. And we didn't get the herbicides and the pesticides and all the bad stuff in their foods. We had good food. It wasn't until later on in life when we started getting microwave ovens and we started buying this fast stuff that we could cook real fast, that we started getting less nutrition. Children today get bad food from day one. Okay? They are getting these things into their system right off the bat, and that's why they're coming down with a lot of diseases at much younger ages. So when you think about that and you see what's happening, then you need to say, okay, is this true or is this not? And again, it goes back down to who do you listen to? Doctors have to make money. And doctors treat symptoms. Quite often the doctor will tell you don't take a particular nutritional product. Okay? And quite often doctors don't know anything about them. I mean, I like doctors. I go to a doctor on a regular basis, and I depend on my doctor to help me stay healthy. Okay? However, when I was diagnosed as a diabetic, my doctor wanted to put me on some medication right off the bat, and I said I didn't want to do that. I would try something else instead for a while. And I did, and I got my blood sugar levels to where they needed to be. My A1C1 was right where it needed to be, with a little bit of diet, a little bit of change in my exercise routine and stuff like that. Well, after a period of time, my doctor said, well, Mr. Lang, are you taking any over-the-counter things to help with this? I said, well, I'm taking some nutritional products. And she said, well, I want you to stop taking those products and start taking your metformin. That was what she prescribed for me for my diabetes. Now, my blood work was all good. My cholesterol was good. My blood sugar levels were good. Everything was good. And so she said, I want you to start taking your medication because you're still a diabetic. I said, well, if I take the medication and I stop taking these nutritional products, will I still be a diabetic? Well, she didn't answer me. But she didn't appreciate the way I talked about it. And I don't take the medication, okay? When I go and get my blood work done, my blood sugar levels are where they need to be, okay? When you take these medications for blood pressure and cholesterol and all these other things that they describe, if you have products of medication that you want to throw away, they don't want you to flush them down the toilet. They don't want you to just throw them in the garbage, okay? And they will tell you that if you put these things, if you flush them down the toilet, it's going to get in the water system. You know, it's going to get in the fish. It's going to get in the system of other people. It's toxic to the ground. If this stuff is so toxic that you can't flush it in the toilet or you can't just throw it in the garbage, then what do you think it's doing to your system if you're taking it in? Okay, they're cancer causing. And, you know, you read the information on it, or if you watch TV, they'll advertise all these drugs and things, and they'll tell you all the different side effects. And these things they're deadly. They are not good for you. I mean, if you have high blood pressure, you have to get it down some kind of way, okay? And maybe you have to stay on those pills until you figure out how to get it down. But you need to get it down and need to get it off the pills, because the blood pressure won't kill you, the pills are going to kill you, okay? People that are way overweight, and some people, there is a reason, because they have problems with their organs or whatever that won't allow them, or their metabolism's not right. But for the majority of people, I think, if they think about the fact that they drink 5 cans of soda every day, okay, or if they eat at fast food restaurants 3, 4, 5 times a week, or if they're feeding these kids this stuff all the time, and they're wondering why the kids are hyper, why the doctors are saying they're ADD and all this kind of thing, well, it could be because of their diet.
What about eating habits? Now, how do we get healthy eating habits? Because now we have babies raising babies, right?
That is very true.
Okay, and we don't have the gardens in the cities, you know, like we had in the country.
Yeah.
You know, we have health food stores, you know, but it goes back to reading. You know, we have to be able to read our prescription and so forth too, you know. But if a child has trouble reading by 3rd grade level, prisons are built based on that statistic. You know, that's another topic about education, though. But each year, the child gets further and further behind. And by the time they get in high school, then they drop out because they can't keep up. Then, of course, they do things that cause them to become incarcerated and so forth. Then the problems goes on and on. But so that person gets into the system of non-readers. And we know that reading is powerful.
It is extremely powerful.
And if they can't read, how can they develop good eating habits?
Well, that's one of the big things, and I keep going back to sugar because I think I want people to really realize, when talking about reading, they say that a person that knows how to read and doesn't read is no better off than a person that doesn't know how to read.
Okay.
Okay? And I told you this once before, you know, if you want to hide something from a dummy, you put it in a book, okay? So we need to read more. And we need to read labels on things that we're going to put in our body, and we need to pay attention and say, okay, if this is going to be bad for me, don't just not take it. I mean, don't just not listen to your doctor. However, look for options. Look for solutions. Something, instead of just treating the symptoms that you have, look for whatever the cause of that is and try to eliminate the cause. And sugar is a huge cause of a lot of the problems we have with our children. It is huge. And people just aren't thinking. I saw on TV they were talking about Cheerios, and Cheerios added something to their cereal to supposedly make it better. They said they added more protein to their cereal. Well, when they researched it, they said that there was 0.8% more protein. There was 20% more sugar. Kids are going to be loving that. Oh, they eat that cereal and they feel good. They get that sugar high and they go off to school and they get that sugar low and then they cannot function until they get to a break. They can run out in the hallway or the cafeteria or someplace and get a candy bar or get some sugar, eat some candy. When we were kids, you didn't chew gum in class, eat candy in class and stuff like that. I don't know for sure how the lower levels of the schools are, but I do know this, that I took some classes out at CLC, and it broke my heart. It hurt me. It hurt me because I saw kids coming into class in the pajamas with potato chips, pop, candy, getting in the chair, put their feet up and study. They didn't have pencil and paper to take notes and learn, but they had junk food and a lot of sugar, you know. And I thought to myself, if that was my child and I'm paying for this, I would be upset. I think there's a lot of parents that don't realize how much sugar their children are ingesting, you know. And think about it and do a little simple test for yourself that tells you whether or not you're a sugar addict or whether or not your children are sugar addicts. And don't try to convince yourself that it's okay. You know, it's not okay to be a cocaine addict or a crack addict, and it's not okay to be a sugar addict. Okay, it is a simple solution, and parents need to control it. Parents need to think about what they feed their kids, and they have to realize that when they're feeding them the junk food, they just cannot function. Again, it's like putting bad gas in your car. You put some cheap gas in there that has a bunch of water in it, and the car don't run, it sputters and coughs and everything else, and pretty soon you end up having to take it to the shop, and they got to clean out the engine, the injectors, and empty all this stuff out of the tank and do it all over again, okay, to get it to run right, and put better fuel in it with some high-octane stuff in it, or at least the regular octane that it needs, the level it needs. In the human body, we're not getting the level of nutrition that we need, so the body cannot function properly. And that goes along with, if you're trying to exercise, people realize that if you're working out and you're not getting enough nutrition, you can't build muscle on nothing. You know, the young people can metabolize a lot of stuff, but the older we get, the harder it is to metabolize all this junk. Okay.
So this is one of the main reasons why we have health disparities among minorities, right?
It is. It is, and I think it is. I think mainly the food that we eat, the nutrition, more than it is the exercise. You know, I think that it's. Yes, sitting in front of the computer and playing computer games all day is a problem. I think nutrition is a bigger problem, but I think that our thinking has been diverted to the exercise portion of it. It goes together. You got to do them both. You got to eliminate all the garbage that's going into the system of the children and of ourselves. Okay, we have to get good nutrition along with proper exercise.
So we have to emphasize, well, one of the things at the farmer's market, I guess, you know, you don't have minorities participating in farmer's market.
We don't. Farmer's markets are really growing. Yeah, they're really growing, and so is the fact that, you know, it used to be that you couldn't go to the store and find organic food. You had to go to a health food store.
Okay.
And then the wise people got, you know, it's funny, years ago back in the 30s and stuff like that, you used to always talk about the fat rich cats. You know, all the real wealthy people were big and fat. They were, because they were eating all these rich foods and they were having a good time. And then they found out that all these foods with all the sugar in it and all the other stuff wasn't good for them because they were dying early. Because, you know, you don't see a overweight centurion, okay? How many people do you know that's over 75, 80 years old that are more than 50 pounds overweight? People, they start dying off right around 60, 70. Actually, I shouldn't say that. It's 40 and 50. They're dying off much earlier. You know, all the fat ones are dying off first. See, if you are a person that's 60, 70, 80 pounds overweight, and you got a friend that's your best friend, and they're at weight, you're going to probably die 10 years sooner. Okay? And if you don't want to believe that, maybe you should look around. You know, it's a choice. Okay? We have the option of changing the way we eat, changing the way we feed our children. You know, one of the things I talk about sometimes with people, I always think about Israelites walking around this mountain for 40 years. For 40 years. They were given a promised land. They were given an option. They were given a solution. They were saying, this is for you. This is good. And you can have it. And they just made excuses. You know, oh, my feet hurt. I don't feel like walking. You know, I got a headache. There's giants over there and they're going to kill us. And all this kind of thing. Well, right now, you got an option. You know, you can keep taking the drugs that are being prescribed to you and not making any effort to change, and you can die sooner. Your quality of life will not be as good as if you eliminate that stuff. All the rich fat cats years ago that ate all this good stuff, they realized that it was bad, they stopped. Now everything is flipped around. It used to be the poor people were thin and the rich people were fat. Now the rich people are in shape and fit. The poor people are fat because we're eating the garbage. They stopped eating it. And they said, here, give it to those people. They don't eat anything.
Well, we look at poor and the rich and the prosperous, but what about past President or President Clinton? Well, you know, he was frequenting the fast foods too, and he ended up had to have heart surgery.
Yeah, well,
you know,
he's an example of what you shouldn't do then.
Okay.
Here's the thing. We have tons of examples. We have tons of examples right in front of us. We see it all the time. We see people dying of heart attacks and strokes at younger ages. We see people coming around with type 2 diabetes at much younger ages, okay? We see our children having more cancers and all these other things at much younger ages.
Because of the food consuming problems.
Because of a lot of the things that's in
processed food and all this.
And the thing is that we're told what's bad. It's just, when I go back to the drugs and the fact that so many people die from properly prescribed drugs. Okay. You know, and doctors will tell you, you know, like in a year you might have 700,000 people will die from taking these drugs. And you might have 6 that die from taking nutritional products. Okay? You mentioned health food stores, and a lot of people, they want to go and they want to just go buy pills or, you know, vitamins from grocery stores and stuff like that. About a month or so ago, there was a thing where they made Walmart and Walgreens and some of these other stores had to take these particular vitamins they had off the shelf because they didn't have what they were supposed to have in them. Okay? Cheap is cheap. When it comes to nutrition, you won't find cheap nutrition. You know, if it's the cheapest thing out there, then it's probably got the least amount of food in it or nutrition in it, okay? And it may have 0 in it. You can go into health food stores and buy whole food products, okay? You don't want to buy synthetic or man-made type vitamins and things like that. You want things that are whole food, things that are more natural. Those are the things that are good for you. And the thing is that most people know that already. They know that. But they feel like, well, I can do this once. And then the next day, oh, well, I'll do it one more time. Maybe next time I'll change, okay? You can't do that to yourself. You can't do that to your children. You can't say it's okay because it's on the market, or because the FDA said it's approved. Because they're approving all these things that are coming in these GMOs. But, you know, you have congressmen and women or whatever that represent you in Congress. These are your attorneys, they're your representatives. Okay? The big drug companies have lobbyists. Okay? That's their attorney or their representative. Right. Now, these lobbyists will go and talk to your person, your attorney. Now, you're paying this guy $150,000 to $200,000 a year to represent you. You know, drug companies paid $100 million to lobbyists, okay, to go in there and fight for them. Well, they won. We don't have the labels that tell us what's in the food, the GMOs that are in the food. If you don't know it's there, then, okay, you can buy it and maybe you don't know you're getting it. But when it is there, or if it's not 100% natural, if it's not organic, then maybe you shouldn't buy it. You know, maybe you should start buying more organic foods and buying less of this other stuff, because you want to get less of the poison in your system. Okay? You want to get less of the poison in your children's system so that they can function, so that their minds will grow and mature, so that they will be able to think straight, so that they can sit still and focus, concentrate when they're in the classroom and learn.
Do we have more people concentrating now on vegetarian diets?
We do. You know,
meals?
I have a problem with that. When I say a problem, it's because my daughter's a vegetarian, and when we go out to eat, I got to make sure I find something that she got in her food. You know, I'm if that's what you want to do, that's great. You know, it's good.
But health-wise?
Health-wise, it's been proven that so much meat is not so good for you. We love our red meat. I bet you love a big steak, right?
Yeah, but it's got to be well done. No red meat.
I'm the same way. I like mine well done, and I will eat more meat than I probably should. But we know that we need to get off that beef. And of course, the cows are telling us eat more chicken, right? we see that on TV all the time. Eat more chicken, okay? So
if they go to auction, they have to make a full donation.
yeah.
Not a partial.
Yeah, not a partial.
Chicken could make a partial donation. Your egg.
Yeah, right. The cow and the pig got to make that 100 commitment, right? 100% commitment. Yeah. Well, the whole thing boils down to this, Brooks. It's the things that we're eating are hurting us, and most people have been told about it.
Okay.
But they ignore the fact. I heard this story once about a guy, a reporter. He went to this small town to interview a senior citizen in this town about the history of the town.
Okay.
And he got to the town, and the man lived on the edge of town, and he had a little small house with a little picket fence around it. And the guy goes out to meet him, and he walks up to the fence, and the guy is sitting on a porch in his rocking chair, and right beside him, he's got his dog, an old hound dog, laying there. And he says hello to the old gentleman, and the gentleman invites him to come on up and talk to him. Mm-hmm. So he goes up on the porch, and he's talking to this old man, and he's finding out about the history of the town and all this kind of stuff. And every now and then, this dog that's laying there would go,
mm-hmm.
The dog was yelping a little bit. Mm-hmm. And the guy said, "What's the matter with this dog? He acts like something's hurting him."
Mm-hmm.
And the old man said, "Well, it is. He's laying on a nail." And the guy said, "Well, why don't he move?" And the man said, "It ain't hurting him bad enough yet." Okay. We see somebody else's child with high cholesterol, or diabetes, or having a heart attack, or dropping dead while playing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not hurting us bad enough.
Mm.
When we see our children, our own child doing it, that's when it hurts really bad.
Mm.
We don't have to wait until it affects our children.
Mm-hmm.
All of these children are our children, and we need to take care of all of them.
So it really should become a lifestyle and not just a hit and miss schedule. Where we should
definitely needs to become a lifestyle. See, we eased into this thing with the sugar. There were a lot of countries that sugar was used for chemical warfare. Get these people addicted to sugar, you can do anything you want with them,
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing with this stuff with the GMOs. There are countries like Haiti, mm-hmm. they won't allow GMOs in their country.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's one of the poorest countries there is.
Yeah.
And they need food.
Mm-hmm.
And what genetically modified, that helps them produce more. But they will not let it into their country because they know how bad it is for them. Mm-hmm. And I think that people in this country need to say, hey, we're not going to consume all this stuff. We know it's got these pesticides, and we know it's got the herbicides, and we know that our children are getting sicker at younger ages. Yeah. And they have said that our children, our grandchildren, won't live as long, or to be as old as we are. Have you heard that?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, people have heard that.
Definitely.
There's a reason that. And again, it's because they started eating the poison from day one. We didn't start eating it till later on in life.
It's more than just the guns in the inner cities, because they know that they're surprised if they live up to 25 years old.
Yeah.
But the food is...
guns, 30,000 people killed with guns last year. Was it something like that, right? Okay. But again, how does that compare to 700,000 from properly prescribed drugs? And again, it goes back to, who do you listen to? You got to listen to your doctor, and he's got to take the symptoms and say, okay, this is what you have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and he's going to treat those symptoms. Now, what you got to do is you got to figure out, and you can talk to him about it, or whoever you want to talk about it, and figure out what is the cause. Okay, we know what the symptoms are, and we're going to treat those, but what caused this to be this way? Okay, what am I doing that's causing this to happen with my children? You know, and it's not gonna. We're not gonna eliminate 100% all that stuff. But instead of the rates going up as they have been in the last 30 years, okay, they need to go down. Well, supposedly we're more intelligent now. Technology has taught us more, and we learn more about diseases and things like that, and health and how to take care of ourselves. But we're a sick country.
Do you feel that? Yeah, I was going to ask, is there a famine in this country of nutrition?
There definitely is a famine in nutrition. You know, and again, I work with a group of people that we're trying to address that fact. We try to help people to find products that will give them the nutrition that their bodies need. And we also try to let people know, go out there, go to the farmers markets, go to the health food stores, grow a garden in your backyard, okay? Don't just go and buy whatever's on the shelf. I used to go and buy Campbell's soup all the time. And then somebody told me about MSGs. And I said, well, let me go see. I started going in my cabinet. I looked at all the cans to see the ones that had MSGs in it. All that Campbell's soup and stuff. So I don't buy that stuff anymore. You know, I don't eat it anymore. And, you know, you feel better. Once you start getting away from that stuff, you will feel much, much better. It's
think of the great Dr. Carter G. Woodson. You know, he was the father of Black history, you know, and he had the whole country was involved in learning more about the history of Black people, you know, in the country, you know, contributions, right? But it wasn't until he wrote the book about the miseducation of the Black people.
Well, we definitely are miseducated because we're not paying attention. Education is something that I think that has to go on for a lifetime. Okay. And I'm not just talking about going to colleges and stuff like that, because I think we go to different schools to learn how to earn a living. Okay. Most of us, a lot of us, go to churches to learn how to live, and that is the important thing. Wherever you go, whatever you do, you need to learn how to live. And you need to do something every day to improve your mind, okay, to improve the mind of your children. This includes reading, which after high school, I can't remember the number, but it's ridiculous, the number of people that never read a book after high school. I mean, they might read a newspaper or a magazine or something like that. A bubblegum wrapper, you know. They don't just pick up a book and read it. There was another book, Sugar Blues. It was printed back in 1971, and it was a bestseller. And a lot of people have heard about the book, and I met a lot of people that have read the book, and they just kind of forgot about it, you know. But when you read that, then it tells you. I mean, the information is out there, and you don't have to get a college degree to get it, you know. You know it up front because it's talked about on the news every day almost. You know, they're talking about people and the Americans and how our society is so overweight. What causes people to be overweight? Eating a lot of food that has no nutrition, okay? It's not just food, period. It's food that has no nutrition, because if you had nutrition in it, then your body wouldn't have the cravings like it does, okay? The body is an amazing thing. It tells you what's wrong, you know? And even with our kids, we can give our kids candy or sugar and stuff like that, and we see what happens to them. They just start flying all around the room. They get wild. But soon as they come down off that sugar high, they get all depressed, they get cranky, they're irritable, they're hard to manage. We see that, and we know it's true, okay? And I guess people don't understand that, okay, how much sugar is too much? Well, if it's processed sugar, I'm going to tell you right now, you shouldn't you let your kids drink sodas. Shouldn't. I mean, maybe on the weekend, you know, or when it comes to desserts.
Well, the parents drink sodas right with them.
They need to stop. They need to stop. I see these people going in these restaurants and fast food places coming out with these big things of, I don't know, they're more than 2 liters, some of them, of pop. And they drink that stuff. I have a friend that she walks around with a 2-liter bottle of pop. She has it all the time. She used to drink that. And I know that every time she takes a sip, she feels good. Okay? She feels good. She doesn't realize that, I don't think, that when she's not drinking that pop, how bad she feels. And I'll bet if she didn't have a can of pop or a bottle of pop to drink, you know, she's like a person that run out of cigarettes in the middle of the night in a snowstorm, and they're going to go to the store and to get some, okay? Because their body is making them do it. If that's the case, then you need to stop. And if you notice your kids are getting cranky after they have their pie and ice cream, you know, yeah, well, once a week you can get cranky. I'm going to let you go to a birthday party and eat this stuff, and then, you know, we're going to go home, and I'm going to let you run around the block until you fall out, and then when you wake up in the morning, you'll be fine. We'll get that out of your system. But we're not going to give you ice cream every day, and we're not going to give you soda pops every day.
So we should be concerned about our daily intake of food as we are daily exercise.
Amen.
Daily exercise is so important
it's
for the
very
physical,
important.
But we should have daily healthy habits too.
We need to have daily healthy habits, you know, and this is one thing. When I worked in the fitness industry for so many years, and I liked working out. I've always worked out all my life. I've played sports all my life and stuff like that, and I think it's great. But to tell people, okay, just because you look at your scale or you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, okay, I got to lose weight. So they go out and they start an exercise routine. And a lot of guys, first thing they're going to do is, I'm going to start running every day. Hey, you know, if you haven't been exercising for a period of time, you better start walking. And work yourself up to it. And you better start looking at your diet. Because if you're exercising, but you're still eating garbage, then you'll have a hard time adding lean muscle to your body. When you add lean muscle, the muscle will eat the fat, because your metabolism goes up. You know, when we go on diets and we stop eating so many or taking so many carbs in, the human body thinks that it goes into a starvation mode. It thinks that you're not getting food or so like what you need. So it'll conserve energy. It'll slow the metabolism. That's why people, when they go on one diet after the other, metabolism goes through the floor. And if they never start an exercise program, they never get the metabolism back up. It gets harder and harder and harder for them to lose weight. So what they have to do is, to lose weight, you know, instead of, you know, if you've tried a lot of different diets, think about this. Do you eat candy every day? Do you drink soda pops every day? Do you eat Hostess Twinkies? You remember a number of years ago there was a guy in California that killed a bunch of employees, and he said it was because he ate Twinkies? Did you remember that? Maybe not.
You know, there are three things that get away from me since I've gotten elderly. The first thing to go is a memory. I don't remember the other two.
Okay.
No, somewhat, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, but no, and you know, exercise. You don't have to have a gym membership to exercise. You know, I mean, you can walk. You can go to the mall and walk. You can walk around the block in your neighborhood. You know, you can get on the floor. When you and I were kids, again, we didn't have weights and all that kind of stuff. We just did push-ups and pull-ups. We did calisthenics. Calisthenics is still one of the best forms of exercise.
Now you can put a bicycle, go to Walmart, put a bicycle in your home, in your living room.
Amen. Yeah, bicycles, treadmills, everything. But again, you know, some people want to complain about the expense. There is no expense, as far as I'm concerned, to getting fit, other than the time that you put in. If you got money and you can buy a home gym and treadmills and build a whole gym in your home, that's good. If you don't have the money to do that with, if you just start walking around the block.
So just make daily improvements in yourself.
Daily improvements. Every day, do something to improve your physical health and to improve your mental health. Make daily changes, improvements in your diet. Look at them. Make these small changes. Make the decision to say, okay, am I eating too much sugar? You know, you don't have to have sugar in your diet. You are much better off if there's, you know, and again, I'm talking refined sugar, because, you know, you can get sugar out of fruits and vegetables and things like that.
People, like I say, people misinformed because you have people automatically, pass the salt, pass the sugar, pass the salt and pepper.
Yeah.
Just automatically, haven't even tasted the food yet.
Haven't tasted the food yet.
But put salt and pepper on it.
And I'd say I'm guilty with salt, but we all know that we shouldn't overdo it with these things.
Okay.
But we keep doing it and acting like, oh, well, it's not going to affect me.
Okay.
It's not going to affect my child. And if your child sees you doing that, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
And again, the big thing is the sugar to me is kind of like when we talk about the devil. He always makes you a promise that something's going to be real good.
Okay.
Because when you eat sugar, you feel good. Okay, you feel good.
Okay.
However, in the long run, you are going to suffer. You are going to suffer.
That's the reason it's so great to have a mentor.
Everybody should have a mentor. Everybody, and we should ask our kids if they have a mentor. Who is their hero?
Okay.
Who would they like to grow up to be like? And ask them, say, hey, if you had somebody other than your mother, your father, or your immediate family, who is the one that you would most like to be like? You want to be like Michael Jordan? You want to be like Oprah Winfrey? My mentor is Barack Obama.
Ah.
Barack Obama, Gandhi.
Okay.
Martin Luther King Jr.
Okay.
They're all great people. But a part of working on ourselves mentally is being able to not let our negative emotions control us, become a slave to them. Barack Obama is the best in the world at that.
But you mentioned Barack Obama, Dr. Martin Luther King, and Mahatma Gandhi and so forth. But if they would just go to the computer and search and read about their lives, their lifestyle and so forth, then they will understand what you're talking about.
People can read about it and they can see it. When you see those men, they are, people are down on them all the time. I mean, people were wanting to kill Martin Luther King. They did.
Amazing.
Okay.
Amazing.
They wanted to kill Gandhi. They did.
Okay.
Now, Barack Obama, they're not going to do that to him, but they want to. It's amazing how much anger is directed at him.
Amazing.
And he could get mad at him, but he doesn't.
Okay.
You do not want the negative emotions in your life, and this is something that the Bible tries to teach us. But when we let the negative emotions make our decisions for us, they are going to be bad. It's kind of like when you deal with computers, you garbage in, garbage out. You can't get out of it something other than what you put in.
Okay.
And same way in a garden. If you plant a seed of corn, you will get corn and it will multiply. It'll be more than what you planted. Okay? If you don't plant anything in your garden, what grows? Weeds.
Okay.
Weeds. If you don't plant anything in a garden, the weeds going to grow. You don't want those. That's the negative things in life. Okay? And we have to, if we do have a garden and we want our crops to grow strong and big, we got to get the weeds out. We got to fertilize it. We got to put good stuff in there, and we got to take out the bad stuff out of our minds. And I imagine that Barack Obama spends a lot of time on his knees praying, praying for all these people that want to do all these bad things, and praying to God to keep him under control.
People on him about, remember when he was in Chicago, the church that he belonged to, they got on him being on his knees too much. So he had to give up his church.
That's hard. That's hard to be able to take all this verbal abuse and just kind of let it roll off your back and go forward, move on with your life. It's a very difficult thing to do, and everybody needs to do that. Everybody needs to work on that a little bit more every single day, because there's always something that's trying to get us down, and somebody that's trying to make us angry so that we're going to do something bad. People talk about, like now, what's going on in the news in Chicago. Yeah. And the people, I am so proud of the fact that we haven't had a ton of violence. We had one or two little wild kids that we had to try to check, but it's been very, very peaceful and calm. And we have to learn to live our lives in a spirit of love and understanding and forgiveness. And we have to learn to love our children and make them love themselves so that they can grow, okay? And so that they'll feel good enough about themselves to not put poison in their system. You know, I mean, a person that doesn't like the life that they live and wants to get out of here, they're going to eat garbage. I have a friend that I grew up with, very, very close, and he would not listen to the fact that you need to exercise and eat good foods and stuff like that.
Okay.
He smoked cigarettes and didn't exercise, and he's about 6 years younger than I am. He may not live another 6 years.
You go to a doctor, the doctor, the first thing they'll ask you, do you smoke or drink?
That's right.
The first thing.
Yeah, they don't do that. But they don't ask you what you eat. You know, they should.
Right, exactly.
They should ask you, really. They should ask you about your diet, and they should definitely ask you, how much sugar do you consume?
They don't know.
They don't do that. And even diabetics that go and are given medication for diabetes, some of them get to go to talk to a nutritionist. Most of them, the doctor just says, "Hey, I want you to take these pills. Go home.
Yeah.
Take these pills twice a day, every day, whatever." Okay. That's not the best thing for you.
Amazing. So actually, the suggestions that you would give to people is ensure that they take physical examinations. So that's not only the sugar you can, because I guess sugar is the most important because it does affect the other parts of your body.
It affects
everything. Your feet.
Yeah, everything.
You know, your other parts of your body that you may lose these limbs.
Yeah, diabetes have the highest rate of strokes and heart attacks and all.
Okay.
So, and that's because they don't really know, at least there's a debate about what causes diabetes.
Yeah.
Okay. However, they do know that if you have it, you've got to cut down the sugar. You got to keep your glucose levels correct. Okay. You cannot just eat sugar all the time.
Right.
So you can eliminate that. You won't have a heart attack if you can keep that down.
So that's the bottom line. We can go to have all our physical examinations because the doctor don't ask you about the sugar and so forth. After you get being a diabetic, then you
even after if you're diagnosed with diabetic, all that means is you just got to watch what you eat more, and you got to exercise.
Right. You put you on medication.
And there are some people that are type 1. You know, that's a whole different bag.
Okay.
But to type 2 diabetics, diet and exercise can help you a lot and to get you off the medication. The goal is to keep your blood sugar under control without medication.
Okay, final comment then about, you know, I've had 2 forums on health disparities among minorities, but I think you've educated the people about why there is health disparities among minorities, right?
Yeah, we are in control.
Why don't we have, why health, wellness, education is so important?
It is extremely important, and like I said, we are in control. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand to not eat sugar and to not, you know, eat fast foods every day, or don't feed your children fast foods on a regular basis. Those are the things that have no nutritional value whatsoever, and that's going to contribute to the obesity. Try to feed foods that have nutrition. In the morning, don't give them Pop-Tarts, don't give them Cheerios, don't give them Frosted Flakes. None of those breakfast cereals are good for your children.
I've seen people eat the breakfast cereals and put sugar
on it. Oh, no. Yeah, you think that's a good breakfast, but believe me, that is one of the worst ways to send your child off to school. It really is one of the worst ways. You're not doing them a favor.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, again, we've been talking with Mr. Jerome Lang. He's retired with physical fitness, but more so he's interested in health and awareness and education among everyone, not only just minorities, but all people. So I want to thank you very much and for coming on, spending a few moments with us here on Community Forum. Because as at the top of the program, I mentioned to our listening audience that you are a person that Lake County should know. health and awareness is so important, and it's important enough for you to volunteer your time to come out and talk. And if we could get, oh, by the way, how can they contact you?
847-445-6409.
Or they can visit.
I have a website. It's jrm.myzija.com.
I think I have both of those, and
Okay.
To let people know. So you mentioned about your family, though. Your daughter, that's.
My daughter is a clinical psychologist, and she's.
Boy, we're gonna spend some time on your family next time, because I know they're extraordinarily grateful to have you as a mentor.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Community Forum. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks Sr., your host.